Hello, Michelle. Thank you for sitting down with me. I'm really excited to just ask you some questions and I'm ready to dive right in. We'll start with just the basic question, just the brief summary of your role and maybe some of the primary responsibilities you have.
Okay, well, thanks for having me, Kelsey. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet you. So my position is Director of Track Marketing here with the West region. We are now owned by NASCAR. So I actually work for both Auto Club Speedway and Phoenix Raceway. That's the West region. When NASCAR purchased us a while back, when we merged, they kind of centralized a few things and regionalized a few things. So it used to be you worked at a track, you only handled that track. Maybe another track would call you and say, hey, we need some help with something. But we were completely separate from NASCAR. Now we're all one. And I'm actually going to start helping Talladega Super Speedway on some things as well. So um, my job responsibilities have changed a little bit. Before I was handling all of our advertising, our marketing, our promotions, all of our digital, except for our communications department, actually was handling the social piece of it and did it in conjunction with our department, which we had called promotions. And let's see, and we also do a lot of the event stuff. Any driver events we handle when it has to do with the fans and the public. I used to handle all the pre-race and post-race festivities. So anything from like the drivers meeting, which we made a really big deal about. We bring in a lot of celebrities since we're so close to Hollywood. And so all of our dignitaries are celebrities and we have to escort them around, get them every place they need to go and show them a good time so that hopefully they'll come back and they'll talk about us. NASCAR also brings out a lot of celebrities. So we probably have as much or more celebrities than Daytona Speedway, International Speedway. And not, Daytona, they always get celebrities because of who they are. They're our premier property. NASCAR owns, oh my gosh, we own 16 tracks, I believe. Before we were owned by International Speedway Corp, and and we own 13 tracks. And now that we're part of NASCAR, that list has grown. Now I handle primarily marketing for both the tracks and help out anybody else that needs it. So right now I'm working on a couple of different renewal campaigns. For one for Phoenix, and then another one for here for Auto Club Speedway that we're about to kick off. And so we kind of divide and conquer a little bit. We've got one person in Phoenix, and then there's two of us here at Auto Club Speedway. But so primarily, we're working on any of the marketing collateral, any of our branding. We have a brand team back at corporate that helps us with all that. And then we've got our advertising, and there's also corporate department that helps us with that as well. But so it's a lot, but it's really fun. And now I get to go to a few more events than I did before. So that's fun too.
Yeah, definitely glad that we're moving back to some live events.
Oh,
Uh,
well, we're one of the first sports leagues that went back to business and having events. We were one of the first. We actually just won the Sports Business Journal League of the Year award like a couple weeks ago. So that was kind of a big thing for us because usually that's stick and ball that wins that kind of stuff. So yeah, but it's just now that we're rolling back into full capacity events and we're working on Phoenix's championship race in November. It's a lot.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you and your team on
Thank
that
you.
title. But I guess I get kind of similar to what you're saying, since you have your hands on so many different departments. It kind of sounds like you're a smaller department. Are there any like key lessons that you've learned from your role, or?
I think working together is key. And I think having that team mentality and making sure that you can multitask um, and communication is so important, especially when everybody is running and at their own speed and doing their own thing. To be able to openly communicate, which is hard. It's been really hard with COVID, obviously, and now that you've got like our boss is in Charlotte, and then we've got one person in Phoenix, and then there's two of us here. So that becomes even more important, than it was before, than being able to walk over to somebody's office.
Yeah. So a lot of virtual stuff, I'm sure. A
Yes.
lot of virtual
Yeah.
communication.
Mhm.
Have there been, I guess, so far in your career, have there been any career highlights so far? Any big accomplishments for you personally?
Um, you know, I there's some big things, there's some big wins when I first got here. Our renewal rate was very low. And oh, I mean, our track more than most tracks has probably one of the highest turnovers. I mean, just because of the area that we're in LA with there's so there's so much competition in this market,
Right.
and people are, they might say, okay, I'll go to the race this year, but next year I'm going to do something different, you know. And so having, people come back year after year after year is really tough.
Mhm.
So I think one of the things that I'm really proud of is really turning around this program and building something um, that where our renewal rates have just gone up and up and up. Because obviously, the more people we can renew, the less hard that you have to work to actually, fill the place.
Right.
So I'm pretty proud of that. And on the fun side, just one of the things that I do is I have to find flyovers for our race, and I have had some pretty amazing flyovers in the past. I've gotten Blue Angels a few times, which is pretty amazing, and I did something at my old track, which was get an Air Force flyover and a Navy flyover to and for them to do it at the same time. And actually, the Air Force flyover um, was a B-1 bomber, and those actually went out of circulation probably less than a year after our flyover. So that was quite an accomplishment. I was pretty happy about that too.
Yeah. Sounds like it's a good show. You get like a full rounded, like everything. I didn't
Yes,
realize it
yes.
involves that
Well,
as well.
and that's a big part of the experience. It's not just like going to a baseball game where you walk in and maybe you're there early for batting practice, but most of the time you get there in just enough time to like grab some food, go to your seat, and hopefully, get to watch the first pitch. Um, so yeah, it's really different. You're coming here, you're coming first thing in the morning, you're spending all day, you're walking around, there's concerts and all sorts of fun things to do in our midway, and you can go into the pits if you get a pit pass and
Mhm.
go, talk to drivers or maybe watch pre-race actually and be on the track. There's so many different things to do. So it's really kind of a festival and a race all at the same time. It's really fun to put together.
It's a lot, but it's worth it. It's
Mhm.
what I'm hearing. So just as far as just like career success, what sort of character traits do you feel like are important to just exhibit all the time?
Um, well, I think honesty and integrity is super important um, for you to be able to really succeed and grow. I think it's really important for your teammates, the people that work around you, the outside people that you meet and have to collaborate with, for them to be able to trust you and know that, whether it is that you're going to have their back or that you're going to be able to, you know, facilitate what you promised. I think that's super important. I think it gets you pretty far.
Yeah, honesty always. I can't see another way to navigate the world.
You would think, Kelsey, that that would be a no-brainer and that that would be like, gosh, you don't even have to say that, but honestly, you really do. And you find that you will gravitate more towards those people that you trust,
Right.
and that you can count on. And there might be somebody that's really good at their job, but you just can't trust them. And that, that will hurt you in the long run.
Nice. Well, noted. Just going to close strong with the classic question for someone like me that's prepping for interviews or kind of in that career exploration phase. What advice would you give someone like myself?
I would say, do your homework definitely, before you go on an interview, and like know something about the company, know something about the particular job that you're interviewing for. There's nothing worse than having somebody walk into your office, sit down and say, oh, I really like Fontana Speedway. you know they don't even know your name
Name of
properly,
it.
or yeah,
Yeah.
it really will like put that interviewer off. But knowing a little something about the company that you might want to work for is not only good for the interview process, but for you, because you want the right fit for yourself as well. Um, and and then just try and be yourself. I know it's really hard when you are interviewing because you're super nervous.
Mhm.
But the more outgoing you can be, the last person that I hired, I almost didn't hire her because she was so shy. But I just had a feeling about her, so I had a few more people interview her, and she ended up being the best thing since sliced bread. She's been a dream. She has excelled so quickly, and it was, finally when I saw her coming out of her shell, it was just like, okay, that was the person I was looking for.
Right.
So I know it's hard, when you're nervous, but whatever you can do to kind of, relax yourself and just like try and be genuine,
Right.
it will go a long way.
Yeah, you definitely want to be composed, but I can totally understand it is a two-way
Yeah,
street. You're interviewing them as
yeah.
well. So that's good to keep in mind.
And then the other thing is, I would look, like, just do a Google online. I mean, if you've been interviewing a lot, then you'll probably know those crazy questions that interviewers ask. But there's those questions like, we had a PR director here who used to make you tell a joke.
Oh,
You had to come up with a joke, and you know how hard it is when, like, if you're not a joke person, to come up with a joke on the fly.
no. Right.
But so it's those little things like that, like, that off question that most people don't ask, that you might get, that might sideline you, as prepared as you can be.
Yeah, definitely just always being prepared. That's a
Yeah.
perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for your time, Michelle. It's been great getting to know you and just getting some answers for how to navigate the career world.
Kelsey, it's a pleasure. And, if there's anything you need anytime, give me a call.
Thank you.